Jake Spavital. Jake Spavital. Jake Spavital. Jake Spavital. What do we think? This is Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for joining another episode of Locked On Baylor Emergency Pod. Another one this week, a semi-live reaction to Baylor's hire of Jake Spavital as the new offensive coordinator for the Bears, replacing Jeff Grimes. I'll keep this one quicker than I usually do because I do have another episode to record tonight, and we've talked a lot about Jake Spavital already, but the comments are open. Hit those comments up. Let me know what you think about this hire, and we'll be going through some of them to talk this thing through. I'm over the moon, man. I really am. And you could probably tell from Tuesday's show that this was the guy I was really hoping for. Or was it Wednesday's show? I think I recorded it on Tuesday, but it was Wednesday's show. I just think he's a guy who can come in and turn things around really quickly, just like he did at Cal, and he's done a couple of more places, including Cal the first time, actually. But he's able to turn offenses around. He's able to do it quick, and he's able to do it with not necessarily his own personnel, which is exactly what Baylor needs right now. He is a spread guy, so we're getting back to that spread type of offense. What really kind of stuck out to me in his time at Cal, this last year, which, by the way, Cal goes to a bowl game. The little old Cal Golden Bears go to a bowl game in a pretty good conference this year, the Pac-12. I mean, Washington and Oregon at the top are really good. Oregon State's pretty darn good. Washington State isn't making a bowl game, but they gave Washington a run for their money. Arizona's a top 25 team for the first time in years. This is a good conference. Obviously, Utah, really good as well. So with that, Spavital is able to go in there, move them up 40 ranks of the top total offenses in the nation. They go from 96 to 56. So 56 doesn't jump off the page, right? But when you see that it's Cal, he moved up 40 and he had one scholarship quarterback on the roster. That starts to become more and more impressive. And where I was starting this point was saying that this was really the first time in his career that they've significantly run the ball more than they passed the ball. And again, that's a personnel thing. He only had one scholarship quarterback on the roster, and they moved up from last in the Pac-12 to the top half of the Pac-12. I think it's fourth, from last to fourth, 10 spots in that conference in rushing yards per game. They were under 100 last year, and they go up to over 180 this year. So he diagnoses what he has, and he works so well with it. But obviously, he's a quarterback guy, and it's just announced today, actually, that he will be the quarterback coach as well. So Sean Bell, who I thought did a pretty good job as quarterback coach. Not a lot of people in the comments from the videos I've done have agreed with that. He moves back to tight ends. Spavital becomes the quarterback guy, and he has been a quarterback whisperer in the past. I mean, guys like Brandon Weeden, Geno Smith, Case Keenum, Johnny Manziel, Kyler Murray, albeit for a short time, Wil Grier. So the guy works well with quarterbacks everywhere he's gone. Davis Webb, even, you remember him from Tech. He had an excellent season at Cal where they were number 10 in total offense. That was the first time Spavital was in Berkeley. I was back in 2016 working under Sonny Dykes. So he is a quarterback guy. He runs the spread offense, which is something that we talked about with Matt Mosley on the Drake Toll show today. Matt Mosley interviewed Dave Aranda today. If you haven't checked that out on the ESPN 1660 website, it's pretty good. It's hit or miss with Aranda, but he gets him out a little bit and cracks some jokes with him. It's pretty good listen. But he talks about it in there. Matt Mosley did in the interview we had with Matt, was the benefits of running that spread style attack when you're recruiting in Texas. Because if you aren't in Texas, you might not know this, but the high school football here, it's all spread offenses. It's everything out of the shotgun. It is not really the wide zone that Jeff Grimes is running. So it's probably a little bit easier to attract some top-end talent here in Texas running with the spread than you would with the wide zone. So I'm super excited about that. Questions going in. Ryan asks, do we have the personnel to run his offense? See, that's a good question. And the answer right now on November 30th is I don't know. But that's one of the things that's really impressed me about Spavital in his career is he has been able to adapt. He's not gone to a triple option or anything, but he's been able to adapt to this personnel, most notably what I was talking about a few minutes ago with Cal this year. So right now they might not, but I think he could run a pretty good offense right now. And we've also got a ton of time. And he's a guy who understands the transfer portal. One of the silver linings of his disastrous tenure as head coach at Texas State was he actually handled transfers pretty well before the portal was a big thing. I think he realized the limitations of recruiting at Texas State and was able to hit the portal hard. So he's a guy who knows the portal, and does know Texas high school football from the past, recruiting with A&M and Houston and Oklahoma State, which is UNT Stillwater. He's been able to find that. So I think he will be able to work with what he's got here. And does that mean they're going to go 8-4, 9-3? No, doesn't mean that at all. It's still got to be complimentary and all that. But everywhere he's gone, they've won, including Cal at 7-5 this year is going to a bowl game, and Baylor is not. Samuel says, not a slam dunk hire in my opinion, but good enough for me to be optimistic. Out of the guys Colt was talking about, Colt Barber from Sikkim 365, who broke this hire, by the way, Spavy made the most sense. I would agree with that, Samuel. That's why I am excited. Because, and I think this is something important for fans to remember. Like, some people will look at his head coaching record, and it's bad. 4 years Texas State. To that, I'll say, who are you bringing in? You say they're going to need to be a head coach. You're not bringing in a dynamite head coach to come and coach your offense under Dave Aranda. And it's the same with offensive coordinators too, because the example I was thinking about today is Graham Harrell at Purdue has been a guy who has moved up a lot of charts as one of the top young OCs, of course, a legend at Texas Tech in his day. Why would he ever even leave Purdue, which isn't as good a job as Baylor, but he's working with an offensive guy. He's in the Big Ten. He does this for another year. He's going to be a head coach somewhere. Whereas coming to Baylor, it's all a risk because you don't know if the guy's going to be gone, the head coach is going to be gone in a month or whatever that may be. Spavital, he and Major Applewhite made the most sense to me. Of the six that I laid out in Locked On Baylor, those were the two. It was really 1 and 1A for me. So yeah, I mean, this is reason to be optimistic. And I think there's another subsect of fans that's going to be thinking it's going to be like the Bryles days because they run a spread offense. That's not the case either, man. He took them up 10 points a game at Cal to 32 a game while mostly running the ball, which he's never done in his career. So that's impressive enough for me. So I'm a big fan of that. And the recruiting aspect can't be understated with how bad that's been the last couple years and not being able to attract a lot of skill guys. In fact, I'm going to pull, I don't want to use too much of this because I do have to talk about this for some of tomorrow's show. But I wanted to pull a tweet from Shehan Jayaraja here, who works for CBS Sports. He's also a Baylor alum and is really tuned in to just all things Texas football. He's a former Dave Campbell's guy. Where is it? God, this is great radio. Great podcasting is me sifting through tweets. It's not even on there. Someone else must have tweeted it from Shehan's story. Sorry, y'all. Give me a minute here. It's about Baylor's recruiting within the state of Texas the last few years, and it has been poor. Okay, yes, Royden Ogletree. I'm going to give him some credit because I really like his account. He's the one who says it. So this is directly from Shehan's, from his article. The state of Texas produced 54 blue-chip recruits in the 24/7 Sports class of 2024 Power Rankings. Those players are going to 25 different schools. The 4 other Legacy Power Conference members have multiple Texans from the top 247, which is what they call that. Baylor doesn't have none, not one of those 54 blue chips, not a single one. And perhaps the worst part of a truly miserable season, Baylor went 0-5 against in-state opponents. Losses were by nearly 23 points per game, including an embarrassing 42-31 loss to Sun Belt Conference foe Texas State. So that's been the problem, man. They have not been able to recruit even in their own backyard. And we see it. I see it all the time, man. Whether it's someone like Micah Hudson, who's at Lake Belton High School, which is about 45 minutes from Baylor. He's one of the top receivers in the nation. 5 stars, going to Tech. So, yeah, you'd think 5 stars, he's probably not giving Baylor a second thought, but he's also going to Tech. So that doesn't seem that unwinnable. Or a guy I cover a lot, Cash McCollum, a quarterback at China Spring, which is right next to Baylor. I mean, the school that Brian Bell was recently a coach at and Sean Bell played at. And he was lighting up defenses the last 2 years, broke all these China Spring records and a lot of Sean Bell records, by the way. And he's going to UNT. No shade against UNT, but why can't we get that kid in at Baylor? Why aren't we showing interest in that kid? And by the way, took a huge jump from his junior year to his senior year. So that's what I can't really understand, is why Baylor has not been able to recruit in their backyard really well at all. In the Dave Aranda era, the only one that really stands out is Monterey Baldwin from Killeen. Devontae Tizino is a promising young player. He just actually recommitted to Baylor after his freshman season, and he is also a Killeen player. So it's just been a real struggle, a real slog for Baylor, for Dave Aranda mostly, but Matt Rule as well. I mean, we saw Quentin Johnston win all kinds of awards and lead TCU to the national championship game last year, high draft pick, all conference receiver. He's from Temple, 35 minutes from Baylor. So it's just been a real struggle, and I'm hoping that Spavital will help out with that if he's here for more than a year, because right now he's going to hit the portal hard, and he knows how to do that. So that's been a big issue for Baylor, but clearly they must have listened. Dave must listen to the program, because you know what? He missed out last year. I was on with Drake and wrote some articles for SI about these transfer portal guys and talked all about Chandler Rogers from ULM. He ends up going to UNT, has an awesome season, completely robbed of any all conference honors. But he was absolutely one of the best quarterbacks in that conference and one of the best quarterbacks in Texas college football this year. And they missed out on him. And now they're like, you know what? We got to listen to this Cam Stewart kid. I can't blame them. Got to listen to this Cam Stewart kid. And the one that I say is the best hire of the guys out there is the one they go with, Jake Spavital. Y'all, that was a big win for the brand. When I do these transfer portal things or these coaching searching things, like I've done the last 2 years with defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, all these positions to highlight in the portal, I never know. We never know who these coaches are talking to one way or the other. So it was big to throw some names out there. And the one I actually had at the highest, him and Major Applewhite, they go with one of them with Spavital. So I'm looking forward to it. Spread attack. I think he's going to air out the ball more than he did at Cal. I think Sawyer Robertson is a perfect fit for this kind of offense. He ran kind of an air raid style in high school as well, with Seth Parr over at Anna High School, which may well win the 4A state championship this year. They're playing Stephenville tomorrow, but y'all didn't come here for high school football. And that's what he ran. He ran actually something pretty similar to the Bryles offense in spreading things out. It isn't more of an air raid. It relies on good first down running. He doesn't look past the first read a lot. I think his game is going to mature quite a bit at the college level under Jake Spavital, because it's been a tough 2 years for the kid. He comes in as a freshman. Obviously, that's tough on any college player, especially the star quarterback who was, 4-star, one of the top recruits in all of Texas. And he goes to Mississippi State in the SEC, and he's barely seeing any playing time. The guy who hires him, who believes in him, dies suddenly at the end of the year, and he enters the portal, finds a place he really likes culture-wise, and he's talked about that before, in a place at Baylor, but it runs a completely different offense. He's thrown out into the fire in the end of game 1, but starting in game 2 against Utah when the quarterback gets hurt, and he just didn't have a lot of time to build his confidence and get his feet wet. And now I think with being here for a whole year, first off, but having a guy like Jake Spavital in there, I think that's a perfect match. And that's something you got to think about now, because you have Blake Shapen in the transfer portal, and I think they'll bring someone in at the quarterback position, but that'll be for depth purposes. So it looks like that's kind of it on the comments. A lot of other ones. Sorry, Sam, I kept yours up there a while. A lot of other ones are the good looks of Jake Spavital. That's great, man. Ad Meister, who is a P1, he's better looking than the other dude. So there's that. Yeah, so he's a little bit better looking than Jeff Grimes, who by the way can rock a mustache. Look, Jake Spavital is a little younger than Jeff Grimes. Grimes has lived a lot of life. He's got 2 college-age kids. You know, he could still rock a killer mustache. Big guy, tall guy. People like that. So I don't know. Dave is a good-looking guy himself. He brings in some good-looking people as well. So there's that. Sam goes in again. Cam, who of the running backs we already have on the roster would be best under this offense? That's a good question. That's a great question, man. And I'll admit I haven't thought about it too much. But I think both Dawson Pendergrass and Richard Reese, if he stays, can be very effective in this offense. Dom Richardson, don't know what his status is in terms of eligibility, to be honest with you. He'll fit just about any offense. I really like Dom Richardson and wish he got a better shot this year, just based off the team they had. But I'll lean towards Reese over Pendergrass just because Pendergrass is still young. He's a better pass catcher, I think, than Richard Reese is. But Reese, I think, is a versatile back. He is more of a plug and play back. And I think that became apparent when he wasn't getting touches this year, that maybe he was more of a versatile back than maybe the true number one out and out best back in 2022. And they could, the coaches just trusted him in any scheme that they ran, that he would be good at that. But then again, I mean, Dawson Pendergrass, I think, is already a better pass blocker, which you're going to need more of. So maybe you see some more of Dawson Pendergrass on the field, but if Richard Reese stays, I would expect a bounce back season from him. But that's something I got to look more into. I appreciate that question, Sam. I know you guys love hearing that. So anyway, thank you guys for getting involved. We're going to talk a little bit more about Spavital in tomorrow, Friday's show as well. But we're also going to talk a little NIL. We're going to talk about the guys that are staying, and the wins that the staff has already accrued here in the first week of the offseason. So appreciate y'all listening. We'll be back tomorrow with more football talk eventually here. Thankfully, not big games for Baylor basketball this week, but they've got some big ones coming up. So we will get back into the basketball talk here in the next few weeks. But Baylor's got their OC. Let me know what you think about them. Drop it in the comments below what you think. Be sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends about the channel, because we're coming in with content 5 days a week, sometimes live like this. And it's the only place that you're getting Baylor athletics content 5 days a week that's not coming directly from Baylor. So I don't have to answer to them on that one. But appreciate you guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and be sure to tell your friends about Locked On Baylor, because it's the only place you're getting it every day. All right, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.